When Joshua was 3 weeks old, he developed a fever. We went to the hospital. They decided they needed to do a spinal tap, and a couple of weeks later, he developed a lump on his back. There was a genetic doctor that came in and saw his toes and knew right away that he had FOP.
FOP is a catastrophic sabotage of the body's musculoskeletal system. Children with FOP look normal at birth except for a telltale malformation of the great toe. And then about 2 to 5 years of age, painful swellings that look like tumors begin to seize the skeletal muscles and turn them into bone. Eventually, ribbons, sheets, and bones cross the joints, lock them in place, and make movement completely impossible because of this armament-like extraskeleton.
Corey was diagnosed at 13 years old. Up until that point of his life, everything to him was a perfectly normal life.
When I first injured myself, I was at the park with my brother and my dad, and we were kicking footballs, and I caught my foot into the ground, and at first I thought it was a pulled muscle, and then we finally went into the ER, and then it just escalated from there.
Even preschool immunizations, minor injuries, bumps, bruises, muscle fatigue can cause the disease to flare up. Once bone forms, it's there permanently. The bone is normal, it just shouldn't be there. It's an example of too much of a good thing is very, very bad.
My name is Matt Horick, and I was diagnosed with FOP when I was 18. Before I was diagnosed, I was interested in going into the military. I wanted to try to push myself as far as I could go to my limit, mentally and physically, which ironically, that's what I got. Even though I didn't go to the military, I ended up getting that anyway.
So how does one build a second skeleton? FOP is not a rare problem. FOP is an ultra-rare disease. It affects about 1 in 2 million individuals. It's a very cruel disease. It's a progressive condition. Eventually, all this extra bone locks up the joints and makes movement impossible and steals independence away from children as they're growing.
Over the last 11 years, the disease has progressed very quickly for Josh.
He's really into sports. He loves being outside, and not having him be able to do that, it's hard to see him disappointed.
I think the most challenging part about having a child with FOP is doing things for him. Having to, lift him or move him. You have to move him carefully because if you move his arm up too far and the joint is locked, you're going to hurt him.
Living with FOP, it stinks that sometimes, you can't play sports. You get tired easy. You get used to them after a while and it gets easier. The thing I learned is that to just suck it up.
This last year has been really tough because I haven't been able to do much. Whenever I get a flare, it hurts really bad.
A flare-up is often a painful episode of new bone formation. These flare-ups occur rather suddenly. Very often, a child will go to bed and look fine. Mother will bathe the child, and then the child will wake up the next morning, and mother will notice a swelling on the back that's the size of a plum or an orange that wasn't there before. These are often mistaken for tumors. FOP is commonly misdiagnosed. Unfortunately, children have biopsies that are not necessary, and not only are they not necessary, but they actually change the trajectory of the disease because that is a form of trauma, and that can, of course, lead to new bone formation.
When I feel the back of my child and how it has completely changed due to all of the bone growth, I just want to take it all away and put it upon myself.
Within the first 3 years, I went from a fully erect standing position to a kind of a curved position. It was just one of those things where I had to, adjust to it and kind of come to terms with it slowly. Just a normal day for an individual is extremely hard for a person with FOP. One of the great threats is fatigue. You're more susceptible to injury. I'm able to do certain stuff around my house. I have a stick to use, like getting on a sweater because I can't lift my arms above my head. And I have a device to help me get my socks on because I can't really reach down. For me, the hardest part about having FOP is not being able to do the things that I was able to do before, and I miss those on a daily basis.
In 2006, we discovered the FOP gene. This was a big event. This was big. The FOP gene is like a biological terrorist. If you want to get a terrorist, you have to know where the terrorist is. And discovering the FOP gene, that one genetic letter out of 6 billion, allowed us to determine not only the town, but the street, the house, and the room that the terrorist was in. So it identified the center of the bullseye of the target for FOP. It's not the complete puzzle, but it's a major part of the puzzle.
There's no question this is a really exciting time to be working on this disease. Every day, the people that I work with are learning new things, giving us a new clue about what a next good treatment could be for FOP.
When the gene was discovered, there were no pharmaceutical companies who were interested in FOP. Since then, there are 30 companies who have expressed interest in FOP, and 13 are actively developing drugs for clinical trials. That is incredible hope. Right now, we have several clinical trials ongoing, and I hope that within the next several years, we'll have even more.
I think that we're really close to having a first drug that is truly effective at inhibiting and reducing the amount of bone formation.
Josh is enrolled in one of the clinical trial studies. If this medicine can keep him from getting any worse, that's what our hopes are.
If he would stop bone growing right now, he could still drive, he could still go to work. So the medicine is everything.
That's my goal, is to restore independence and prevent the loss of independence. And I think that's achievable.
A treatment and a cure for FOP might stop or slow my progression, but I think for me, what I'm most excited about and hopeful for is it being able to help the younger generation. If they could stop that progression at a younger age, it'd be much better for them.
A treatment for Corey would change his future.
We're so close. We're so close. I can't wait for that day.
We got a long road to go, but we're closer now than we were 11 years ago.
There's a lot of hope, and there are a lot of people who are working really, really hard every day to get us to even a better place.
We have run the relay race. We're in the final stretch, I hope, and we have to finish that race. We have to cross the finish line so that we can have relevant treatments and a cure for FOP.